Hey girls, welcome back to the podcast. This is April, your host. Who better? I don't know. But today's kind of fun because we have not just one guest, but two guests because I discovered we could have three people on a podcast. So I thought, who better than Izzy and Paige? If you don't know them, they're about to be your best friends over this podcast episode. So we're going to talk about transitions because if you didn't know, in your 20s, they're full of transitions. It's going to be the best time of your life. I kind of say that with some sarcasm, but there's some good things in there. We're talking about friendship, all the changes, all the things. It's going to be awesome. I'm so excited. But before we dive in, let's just hear a little bit. Well, first off, I should say, welcome to the podcast, Izzy and Paige. Izzy, you've been with us before. Paige, this is your first time, and you're about to have the time of your life. How are you guys feeling?
So excited to be back. This mic is hot.
She let's go. I know. Izzy looks like you are in an actual studio.
In a studio.
Yeah.
I got the full setup. I'm just in my apartment.
I'm just it's like the headphones I wear to the gym. And you guys are
with our mics, yeah. You didn't get the memo. It's fine. It's your first time. By your second time. No, Izzy came in the first time like this, and I was like, wow, why would I expect anything else? But tell us, how did you guys meet? When did you guys meet? All the fun things. Whoever wants to start.
Do you want me to start because I have the backstory?
Yeah, you have the
backstory. So this story starts during my junior year of college. So I went to college 2018 through 2022. And so this would have been 2021, I think, was when this happened. One of my really good friends was an RA at our university, and she was telling me, oh, next year I'm supposed to room with this girl, Paige. And I was looking at her Instagram, and I just really think you guys would be friends. And long story short, that girl ended up moving to online, moving back home. And so she wasn't an RA anymore. But I still had this okay, there's this girl Paige and she's coming to my school. I want to meet her. And so I was a student leader at my university, and I was doing orientation, and I recognized Paige when she was in her car. And I was like, oh my goodness, you're Paige. This is amazing. I knew way too much about her. I was like, you did Hillsong. Oh my goodness, this is so cool.
You were born on this day.
Yeah. So I just had a little bit too much context for her life, but she can speak more to her first impression of me and how it started.
Yeah.
Crazy girl at your car door.
Honestly, I think we had followed each other on Instagram before I even got to school. And then she saw me. She was like, oh my gosh. And I'm a nervous girl meeting people for the first time, moving into college, and I'm like, wow, this is a good first impression. And honestly, it made my mom cry. She was like, she's gonna have friends. She was so happy about it, and I was like, oh my goodness, this is so silly.
That's so funny. Okay, so then did you guys end up rooming together or no?
No. We never roomed together.
So then how did y'all's friendship continue on after that point?
It just kind of did.
At a small school.
Yeah, tell us where you guys went to college, for those that don't know.
We went to Northwest University in Kirkland.
Northwest University.
And yeah, we just I introduced her to a lot of my friends because she was a worship ministry major and a lot of my friends were. And so we kind of just found ourselves in a lot of similar spaces. And that was kind of how it all kind of started to happen, I guess. But we lived on different floors. We lived in the same building, but we lived on different floors. And we just kind of, I don't know, intermingled.
Yeah. Love it.
And I would invite myself to her dorm room.
She did.
I'm coming over.
I'd be like, coming over. Yeah.
I love it.
Yeah.
So do you guys feel like it was a friendship that because when I know, Paige, you transferred in because you were at Hillsong before. So still transferring in, were you a transfer in, Izzy, or did you start your freshman year?
I started my freshman year.
So were you a freshman or you were a sophomore at that point?
I was a junior. No. I was a senior when we met. I was a senior. Yeah, I was a senior.
Learning all the things. So
Yeah.
are you guys, so you're older?
Yes.
Yeah, she's
a little bit.
She's like a year older.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
College and
Transferred
years,
as
it's
junior.
so,
Yeah.
okay. So confusing, but that's awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So basically, Izzy, you're introducing her to people because you're already established there. Paige, your first time getting acquainted. What was that
Yeah.
experience for you coming in as a junior?
I think I was like really nervous about making friends, but I was like also it was funny because when I came to Northwest, I was like, this is an opportunity for me to show up as like the person that I want to be. And so I feel like I really did that at Northwest, which was like kind of shocking to myself, I think. And I just like showed up and I wanted to show up for friends. I wanted to be outgoing. I had a friend at Hillsong that was like so outgoing, and I would like follow her around and like try and figure out how that she was making friends so easily. And I was like, if I like can just like inhabit a little bit of her in this season of my life, I feel like that'd be good. And so just like trying to really put myself out there, and I think Izzy helped me with like making friends, and it was like a weird transition, but also really fun.
Yeah.
So
yeah. What advice would you guys give to anyone going into college or transferring in when it comes to making friends or starting off that experience? Like, what things helped you practically in having like a good start in college? Or even what didn't? I don't know.
When I was 17, I ended up doing Running Start, which is kind of like an on-ramp program for college.
Yeah.
And already during that time, a lot of my friendships were shifting from more of a high school format to what friendships look like in college. And so I had to be in a lot of spaces where I needed to introduce myself. And I've always been a really outgoing person.
Yeah.
But it still was really nerve-wracking. And I remember I would sit in my car before I would go into church, and I'd be like, God, please help me make friends. Like, fill me with confidence to just go up to people.
Yeah.
And, you know, even if they don't engage with me to the same level, like, help me to be bold in just talking to people and talking to people that I want to be friends with, like, that I see things in that I want to get to know more. And so I kind of had that adjustment about a year before going to Northwest. And that really helped me coming in, because it helped me be less afraid of rejection and just meeting people and just going up to people and not being afraid of what the consequences were going to look like of, okay, either I'm going to stay friends with this person or I'm not. And I'm okay with either. And that, I think, really freed me of the pressure of like, I have to be friends with this person. I have to, because I also wasn't super close with my roommate my freshman year too, which was okay. Like, we were decent friends, but I was like, I'm okay with us just being acquaintances. And so I kind of let things just organically evolve and surrendered that need for control of, this is what I want this to look like. And that first year, I would say my friendships changed so much. I didn't even meet one of my closest friends from college until January of that year. Her name is Maddie, and we didn't even meet until January, and it was over snow days. And I was actually on FaceTime with a friend, and she introduced herself because she was in the same dorm. And she introduced herself over that FaceTime, and she was saying, oh, I haven't met you yet. She goes, but whenever I see you, you remind me of my ex's ex-girlfriend. And that was why I was nervous to talk to you, because you look exactly like her.
Because what if you're her?
Because what if you're the exact same person? And that was like our first moment meeting. And then we ended up becoming great friends. I was in her wedding. We're still great friends to this day, but I didn't really meet those closer people until kind of the end of my freshman year, beginning of sophomore. But I let myself that first semester kind of just experiment of like, I'm just going to hang out with different people and, you know, jive with whoever I jive with. And if it doesn't work out, it doesn't work out. If it does, great. But I kind of let myself have that release of like, the first person I meet needs to be my best friend, because I feel like a lot of people come into college with that expectation.
No, that's really good. Paige, what about you?
I think, well, I grew up in like K through 12 school. And so like my whole childhood, I had the same friends. And so I was like, oh my gosh, going to college, this is like the first time I'm making friends that are not like on the playground in 5th grade. And so I was really nervous about it. I was like, I don't even know how to do this. And I think just like showing up as yourself, like you're going to attract the right kind of people in your life, and they might just be in your life for a season. Like what Izzy was saying, like that is okay to have friends that are not forever. And I think there's like a pressure there. They're like, I'm going to find my forever friends, which totally could be true. But like also like allow like changes to be made and just continue to be yourself, and the right people will be attracted to
That's good. And I don't know what you guys, but I remember like my freshman year of college, it was also like learning to not let go, but I moved away. And so all of my high school friends, I was really close with 2, maybe 3 girls at the time, and they all stayed and went to community college, and I went off. And that was also really hard because every time you like go home to like visit, it's trying to pick up where you left off, and you can, but yet they're continuing to have moments together that you're not a part of. And then your freshman year, you're not like, it takes time for friendships to develop. Like they're like Izzy's saying, you're hanging out with different people, you're having fun, but it's not like, I remember just feeling so sad of like, no one knows me. Like I need someone that I can go to just to be like, I'm having a hard time here, but you don't want to like unload that on the first person you meet the first time of like trauma dumping on them, you know? And so it was also like celebrating my friends that they got to be home and have those times together, like not being in a bitter or like resentment of a spot, but also learning to like kind of let go and have my own experiences and being open to making new friends. So it's this weird, like, especially when you go home on vacations or have like summer break, it's this weird, like you start to form this community in college and then you're back home. And so you're trying to keep up with family and friends, but then also how did you guys navigate that? Because I imagine getting pulled in a lot of different directions in the midst of back and forth and trying to maintain relationships. How have you guys done that, even to this day? I stumped them. It's a good question.
It's a good question. I have 2 friends that I grew up at church with, and I think they're like some of my best friends. Like they were in my wedding, and I think we've done a good job of maintaining friendship. I think that's kind of a hard thing to do when you move somewhere, and like they're childhood friends, so I've known them since I was really little. So like there's a lot of history and richness in our friendship, and so I had to learn to not compare my friendships that I was making in college either to them, because I've known them since I was little, and that like you're not going to get that deep super fast, and and then just like being super intentional about those friendships that I have. Like during COVID, we'd call each other all the time, and I think you just have to like find the way that works for you, because some people like aren't good at texting back, but you learn like, I'm just going to call you on a random drive I have.
That's
like
good. Yeah.
Reaching out and like not letting those friendships to kind of dwindle off, because they can. And then also being okay with friendships that do dwindle off. It's like both.
Yeah.
I read this chapter in The Emotionally Healthy Leader. I think it was either Emotionally Healthy Spirituality or The Emotionally Healthy Leader. And I remember feeling really convicted by it because it was titled The Stories That We Tell Ourselves. And it was all about, as a leader and as a human being, oftentimes when we don't understand situations or there's space in friendships or different things, we tell ourselves certain stories of maybe this is what happened, or maybe this is why this is happening, to help kind of ease our conscience a little bit and give us more context without really fully understanding the bigger picture. And it talks about how damaging that can be when we do that. And I think when you're away from friends, when, you know, whether you're away for summer break or whether they move, I think that it's really easy when you're younger to start to tell yourself stories of like, they don't care about me anymore, or just maybe they think I did something wrong. Or I think that we make a lot of stories up of what's happening. And sometimes it's really just people are busy. We have jobs, we have school, we have all these things going on. And I love this person just the same. And so I think it's being able to surrender that space and being like, oh, this is still one of my really good friends, even though we're in different locations. How can I be intentional with that person, even though they're far away? Versus letting those stories kind of take root in our heart, because if we do that, then we let bitterness grow, we let frustration grow. And I have lived in the same location my entire life. I've lived in the Seattle area my whole life, and like I am one of those people that stayed in the same area. And so I haven't done a big move to Australia like Paige has, or different things, or even out of Colorado to where she is now. But I definitely have seen friends come and go just the same. And I've had a lot of friends that have moved away. And in that gap and in that space, it's so easy for us to be like, oh, they don't like me anymore, or they don't care about this friendship, or just to tell ourselves those things. And something that's been really freeing for me is just being okay with people are in my life and I love them. I see them with the eyes of Jesus, and I care for them how I can during that time, and they care for me how they can during that time. And maybe sometimes it's closer than other times, but oftentimes it has a lot less to do with us than we think. And if there is a hesitation of why this is happening, like addressing that head on. And I think that that's something that why Paige and I are in each other's lives to this day, is because I feel like we have had a really healthy way of managing when there is distance, when there is space, like us having honest and vulnerable conversations with each other, and not being afraid of conflict, not being afraid of, addressing the harder topics, but really being vulnerable and open and honest with each other. And I feel that like that's an essential part of having those friendships where there is more space.
Yeah. No, I think that's so good, because we start to tell ourselves a whole narrative, and then we stop reaching out, we, develop bitterness, walls, or we stop something that never really needed to stop, or there's drama that's later addressed. And typically it's like, why didn't you just bring this to me? And you're like, yeah, you're right. I don't know, so that's so good.
Yeah.
So you guys met in college. You guys were you guys only there together at college for a year then?
Yeah.
Okay. So, but you stayed in the area, Izzy. So were you still like around Northwest campus and involved? Like, were you guys still hanging out in person at that time?
So this gets into another part of Paige's and my friendship. So we became friends and we spent a year at college together. I graduated, and near the end of my senior year, end of her junior year, we both got in relationships around the same time. With two guys that were friends. And that was something that definitely also influenced our closeness too, because if you're the guy that you're dating is close with, your friend's boyfriend too, you're going to spend a lot of time together. And so I think that also influenced some of that. But then both of us also went through breakups around the same time. And so I wasn't necessarily around Northwest a lot because the guy that I had been dating was a student. And I also wanted to have a healthy distance because so much of my life had become my university because I was so involved. And so I had been really challenged by leaders of, take a step back, take some distance, because, this has been your life for 4 years and you need to be able to healthily kind of move on to the next chapter. And so I maintained contact with Paige, but I would say that I wasn't around the school as much is what I would say. Yeah.
Okay. So then when you graduated, Paige, how long were you in the West Side after that? Was it just like 2 years or?
Yeah, it was about 2 years after I graduated. I moved to like Stevens. And so I was even further.
Okay.
Yeah. I think at that point, Izzy and I lived like an hour and a half from each other.
Yeah.
Okay. So not seeing each other as much then at that point.
No. We didn't see each other much during that time, yeah.
But still keeping in contact. What was the dynamics of y'all's friendship around that point? Like more just like talking over the phone, texting?
It was definitely texting sporadically because we were in very different places in life during that time. Paige can probably speak a little bit about that too.
Yeah. Well, I think that, first of all, like back to kind of that like breakup season that we both had together, I think was really foundational for our friendship.
Yeah.
Because I saw Izzy as a person that I wanted to invest in, and she really created this like safe place for me. I wasn't at school, and she just was such a friend to me. And I was like, I want to keep people like that in my life. And so I think out of that, we honestly, our texting game, really bad. Our calling game, also really bad. Really bad. But I know Izzy, and I know who she is, and I know her heart, and I know that she wants what the Lord wants for me and will speak life over situations. And so I just know that she's in my corner always, no matter if we're like living far apart or we're living close together. And when we're together, it's like no time apart. Like I just really value her friendship. And so even if we like don't talk for a few months, like I know that Izzy is someone that
so good.
just deeply cares for me and deeply cares for what the Lord has for me. So I think that there's just like no question in my mind.
Yeah. I think that's really good because, again, circling back to like even what Izzy said about the stories we tell ourselves of, you know, when there is distance or the communication isn't as strong, you know, just to remember like, no, this is Izzy, this is Paige, or this is my friend, like this is who they are, and not allowing the enemy to come in and speak. And because I think that's where, you know, especially as girls, like that's where the gossip picks up. That's where the slander, it starts to kind of, instead of going to the person, it's going around to like other people. Like, have you talked to Izzy lately? Like, Izzy really hasn't been showing up or communicating. And there's an innocence in it, but it's so quickly, it can be just, you know, I can't think of the word, but just the enemy comes to, you know, what is that word?
Disrupt, steal, kill, and destroy.
Sure. We'll go with that.
Some scripture
He's
for
just
you.
awful.
The enemy comes to steal, kill, and destroy.
Yeah. Yeah. I love it. And the podcast there, you know. But I think it's really important just because, the enemy wants to, you know, just cause, you know, disruptions in those friendships, and he wants you to be isolated. And so again, it's like if it's a feeling that's really like stirring up inside of you, and it really comes from a place of, I just miss this person. So just let them know that you miss them. Like, I don't think I've ever had a friend who's told me that they've missed me, and I'm like, ew, why are you telling me that? You know, like, it's like, it's very sweet and endearing. And it's like, you know, it like draws you in of, okay. And then it has the conversation, like, what can we do to make this intentional? Like, I have found, for whatever reason, my story of my life, I've moved all over. And so my friends, we've never stayed in the same space. I think majority of my friends are long distance. And that's also been challenging because, and maybe you guys can speak into this too, it's like when all of your friends are long distance and your family's long distance, it's kind of hard. Like I can't be all things to all people no matter what, even when I'm in the same location, you know, especially you guys know what it's like being in ministry, like you're pouring out to people. So I guess in the midst of me talking this out, I want to ask the question, like, how do you guys, like, what's important for you with friendship? Like, is it constant communication? Is it just being able to like have quality time here and there? I mean, you guys have kind of talked about like picking up where you left off on certain things, but like, you know, you're getting in the rut of ministry, you're pouring out to other people. How do you balance friendships in the midst of that? Like, what is the value or importance in that to you? And it doesn't have to be like necessarily with each other, but just in general with people.
I can go. I think one of the things that I look for the most in friendships is, does this person challenge me to follow Jesus better? Is this person not afraid of asking the hard questions? I look for people that I admire their walk with the Lord. I admire the way that they live. People that also make me laugh. I really value humor and fun, and Paige knows that. And I just love surrounding myself with people that I can have a good time with, but that also can call me higher in healthy ways and that's something that I've witnessed a lot in my friendship with Paige. Is she is someone that speaks the truth in love all the time. And I think that Paige has just shown me what true intentional friendship and walking with Jesus looks like. And when, in the church, we're encouraged to walk in community with people, Paige is always someone that comes to mind in that, because she is one of those people who you can have a lot of fun with, but then at the end of the day, I know that she is someone that will pray for me, someone that will tell me what I need to hear, and even if I don't want to hear it. And those are the types of friends that I look for. And when it comes to overall consistency, something that I'm not great at is consistency, but I'm a big words of affirmation person, and I really care about telling people just words of encouragement. And so I'll ask the Lord most mornings, like, who is someone today that you want me to encourage? And then I'll just text that person in my phone at some point throughout the day. Cool. And that's just kind of how I operate. But in terms of quality time, that's something that I struggle with, and I'm aware that I struggle with it. And it's something that I'm continually trying to do better for the people in my life who that is how they receive love. And so that's where I've been pushed and grown in other ways by some of my friends of, hey, I don't feel like you're prioritizing this. I don't feel like you care for me in this way, which is far from the truth. But I'm then given the opportunity to step up and show and demonstrate that I care in the way that they feel loved, the way that they feel affirmed. And I think that's a huge lesson to learn in friendship, is not just learning how you give love to people that you care about, but how others receive it. And kind of taking a posture of humility and being able to reprioritize your life for those people in certain times so that you can show up for them better.
Yeah, that's good.
Yeah. Izzy is a words of affirmation queen, honestly. She it's her gift.
Yeah.
And I think for me with friendship, it's like, I just want people that assume the best in me. And like what you're saying is like, you want to be known, you want to feel known by your friends.
Yeah.
And so even if there are times where you're maybe less connected than you normally are, I want someone to just assume the best intentions that I have, and that they know who I am. They know my character, and they're not like telling themselves stories about my intentions. And so that's just like what I look for in a friend, that's like simple and knows me and will assume the best in me. And then also, if there are hard conversations that need to be had, just bring it to me. Like gossip will kill any friendship. And so I think when there's gossip mixed in, like that's when the enemy sneaks in and he lies. And so instead, bringing conversation to that friend, if you're like hurt by them, and there's definitely been times where like I have failed as a friend, and it's never been like ill-intended, but it's definitely happened. And so I just really value friendships that will bring that to me and be honest and like be able to work through it. So yeah.
No, it's so good. I think there was a pastor I was listening to, and he was talking about even just the form of gossip. Like, you may come with like good intentions and you're not labeling it gossip, right? It's the word I was looking for earlier. It's like distortion. That was it. It's like the enemy comes and it seems like it's good, but really it's just a little off. And so you're not building credibility with people. You're actually taking away credibility when you gossip. Because if people are smart, they're watching that and they're like, like if you're going to say this about that person, would you also say it about me? And typically that's how gossip goes. And it's hard because I listen to that. I'm like, oh, Lord, help me, because we all can struggle in that area. Like, I am not perfect in that. And so I just want to be constantly in that place of, I wouldn't want anyone else talking about me in a way. So I don't want to put anyone else. And that's going in line with assuming the best out of people, that even when they get something off or do something wrong, like, we're human, like it's a mistake. Don't label that as who they are then and forever. And I have had, friends do that. And that's the hardest one to recover from, if you even can, because at that point, if someone's already made up their mind about you, I'm not going to sit and try to convince someone. And I don't think you should have to convince. You just live out your life. And if people don't want to be there anymore, that's okay, and you let them go. But that can be difficult. Something you were hitting at, Izzy, when you were talking about things that you look for in a friend, had me thinking even on the idea of like, what are things that you guys have had to learn about being a good friend to others? Like, you kind of have hit at that a little bit, but where are areas that you can track and know, like, oh, this is something I need to show up in better as a friend, or things that maybe people have told you, or things you've learned over the years that you're like, man, because it's so easy to like point the finger at other people, but what things have you noticed in yourself of, this isn't my natural, but this is something I know is important? And that can be kind of done as a group, but sometimes it's based off the individual that you're doing life with, because everyone's so different in what they need. So what are some things that you guys have learned in that? I mean, obviously y'all are perfect friends, so this is a hard one for you.
Like, who's gonna go first?
We're not perfect. We're not perfect. Far from it.
Yeah.
I love it.
I can go again unless Paige has something.
You,
I feel like
go.
I just keep
You
talking
go
because I
first.
see Paige
No,
thinking.
it's good.
I just love the subtle. I'll go again.
Yeah.
Just to remind
sometimes
Paige,
I just see Paige. Paige just is a thinker, and so I want to give her a moment to think.
What a
Sometimes
great
she just
friend.
needs it.
She knows. You see, I
Just contemplates. She's very intentional. I would say this kind of has a little bit of backstory to it, but when I was younger, I had anger issues when I was a kid. I did not know how to control my emotions. I've always felt very deeply.
Yeah.
And when it came to being frustrated, I didn't know how to express my emotions in a healthy way towards my family. And that came off as like me just yelling at my sister or my mom. And as I started following the Lord, I quickly realized that that was not a healthy thing. And as the Lord started operating in my life, he made me really aware of how I was treating my family and how I was vocalizing things. And I had a healthy heart check of, I can't keep doing this. The interesting thing about that, though, was it kind of then made me pivot the other way to where I completely feared conflict, because I've always been an extremely honest person. I always have had a lot to say. And I completely then swung the other way, where I was afraid of rocking the boat. I was afraid of telling my friends what I really thought or facing issues head on. And that is something that I'm still being pruned in to this day, is being able to say what I know I feel, and say it with kindness, say it with grace, and be honest. I have struggled with that so much, which is so funny, because I basically pendulum swung the opposite way of where I was as a kid with conflict. And so that's been a huge reality check for me over the past few years. I mean, just as you get more reps under your belt with friendship, as you walk more years with people, you just realize, man, I need to change in a couple ways. And I want to be a better follower of Jesus. I want to be a better friend. I want to be a better daughter and a better sister. And you just start to realize those things. And so I would say I have realized I am averse to conflict when it comes to friendships. And having friends like Paige who speak the truth in love has been so formative for me, learning how to address things head on. And that's something I'm extremely grateful for. And then the other thing is just I, with quality time, do struggle with like committing to things. And so having a healthy kind of realization of, no, I need to put this on the calendar, because even if I feel overwhelmed right now and I have a lot of things going on, I still really care about this person and this friendship, and I want them to remain in my life, and this is a way that they feel loved. And so I would say those are two ways that I'm continually having to submit to the Lord and continue to be aware of my own shortcomings and faults in relationships, and being able to rise to the challenge and say, okay, you know what? This is a weak point for me, but I'm going to continue to surround myself with people and step out in uncomfortability, even if it's not my preference. So,
So good.
Yeah, and like I am a quality time person, and Izzy and I are some of like she's like one of my best friends, and so I think that it's like so possible, and I think sometimes we take these love languages and then we're like, that's like your expectation of people to like meet you there, but I've had to learn how can I fill my own cup and have like yes have expectations of friends, but like they're not going to meet your every need, and that's okay. And like you can find that other places, like you find that in the Lord, and so just like releasing that of people, of like those
That's
expectations being so high, and like I'm a quality time person, but Izzy's like one, and she's saying that she struggles with that, but we're really good friends, so it's just like you have to be able to communicate with one another. And I think for me, there's like definitely areas that I fall short, obviously. And I think I can almost commit to too much because I'm a quality time person, and then not invest enough in all those different buckets. So I feel like I have in friendships in the past. Like it's my dog is.
At least it's your dog and not like your stomach or something.
Yeah, it's not. I think I think Josue got home and he's like wanting to go out. But basically, I'm telling basically
bring him on the podcast.
I know, miss him.
Basically, I'm Taylor Swift, and this is my new dog.
I love her.
Mango's gone. If you're watching on YouTube, you get to see Mango.
Yeah.
If not, what are you doing with
he's
your
never
life?
been introduced, so yeah.
Officially, there he is.
The big reveal.
You've seen her first. It really did. I was like, it's that or a car driving by, but
am I hungry?
It's Mango.
Maybe a little bit. I don't even know what I was saying.
No, I think it's good. I think it's. Oh, go back. Hit us.
Yeah. Just like, yeah, having too many like buckets to fill, and because I'm like such a quality time person, then all of a sudden all my time's gone. And I think it's important to like set boundaries and expectations that are realistic with people, because like you're not going to be able to be a friend to someone 24/7, but you can be intentional with the time that you have. And so I've had to learn how to do that, and I've let people down in that because I get on a spree of like really showing up for someone. And then maybe I make a new friend, or something else comes up, or you get into a relationship and things just like start shifting. And all of a sudden you're not able to pour into that bucket the same way. And so I've had to learn to communicate that of like, I know that this season this looked like this, but now it might look like this, and being okay with like that change.
No, that's good.
And
well, great transition point for us, Paige, because you did get in a relationship. You did get married. Also, Izzy, I'm pretty sure it was like on your Instagram or something. It was like 27 dresses, bridesmaids life. Like you this summer, you made a joke.
I have been okay, guys. I need to tell this story because it's really funny.
Okay. We'll be the judge.
I was really out at lunch with a couple friends, and I was explaining, I've been a bridesmaid in quite a few weddings, and just explaining like I didn't expect myself to be, one of the last single people in my college friend group, which I'm also totally loving. That's a whole other tangent I could get on. But I was talking with them about my bridesmaids era. And these are guy friends, by the way.
Okay.
And my friend, he goes, you give maid of honor energy. And I was like, that is the nicest thing you've ever said. And also the worst thing, because I want to give bride energy. Why are you saying I give maid of honor energy? I want to be the bride someday. Let's talk about that. Anyways, that's my story.
Let's talk about that.
Oh, that's actually really funny. It's funny because it's a dude also. Like,
it's a dude too.
Maid of honor energy.
And I was like, he was like, if I was a girl, I would have you be my maid of honor. And I was like, that's sweet.
You're like, that's actually where we draw the line. That's
kind of
too much. Yeah, but no, I think that's like, we have two very like different stages of life in friendship too. And I think sometimes that can be a misconception. I think I had my friends just already prepared that once I got married, like friendships off. You're going to be obsessed with your husband and not want anything to do with friends, and everything's going to change, shift, all of that stuff. So when Paige got married to Josue, they're like actually the cutest.
They're so cute.
I can say that. We've been on a double date with them, and I can say that they're cute. So, but when that was happening, what was that dynamic for y'all's friendship? Izzy, you kind of just stated you're in like a good place, like you're like loving single life. I mean, maybe I'm putting words in your mouth. You tell us. But just the dynamics of one's married, one's single. Paige moved away to the Tri-Cities. Praise God that she's in Tri-Cities. Love that she's here. Just waiting for Izzy to get here too, and then it'll be even better. But what was that dynamic for like y'all's friendships? Seeing friendship move even further away, getting married, all the things.
I think that
I wonder who will answer first. Oh, Paige is answering first.
It's me.
I said,
"Let's go on."
And this,
you go.
I think that when you get into a relationship, it's really important to actually listen to your friends' voices, because I've not done that, and then I've done that, and there's like such a difference, and just like valuing what your friends' perspectives are on who you're dating. And when I met Josue, like talking to Izzy about it, and when she met him, she just really championed us and believed in us, and I think could see how God had brought us together, and was just like so supportive, and that's all you can ask for in a friend, right? And if it wasn't the right fit, I would expect her to tell me that, right? And so I think in that like changing season of one of your friends, because we were both single for a while too, together, and so when that kind of happens, being okay with what I was saying before of like that bucket might not be as full as before, because my energy might be going somewhere else, but I will still show up for you. Like Josue and I went down to Sambica to hear her speak. Like we try to show up for her in the season that she's in, and in return, like we know that she'll support us, and so Izzy's the best.
No, I remember even when we had Izzy speak at Winterfest conference, and she spoke on Sunday morning at C3, and here comes Josue just to like cheer her on. I was like, that is the sweetest thing ever. That's so cool. So I definitely can attest to that's something that you guys lived out, which is so cool. Even if you weren't there, it's like, you better go cheer on my best friend. It's so awesome.
Sure. Yeah.
I think part of what led to that was we already referenced this, but in college we started dating people around the same time, and we went through breakups around the same time. And I think seeing someone in that space, in that headspace where, you know, hope is not lost, but everything feels really cloudy. If you haven't been through a breakup before, I pray that the Lord protects you from it, but also you learn a lot about yourself from it at the same time. And during that headspace, I think both of us really had almost kind of brought it before the Lord, and felt ultimately with both of our people we were dating that it wasn't right. And that was a really hard decision for each of us to make kind of independently. And when you walk through that with someone, when you're processing with someone, when, you know, Paige was actually during that time staying at my parents' house with me for a little bit, you know, we really saw a very raw form of each other emotionally. And I saw Paige's desire for what she wanted in a spouse eventually. I saw, you know, the types of things that she was yearning for. And my philosophy with my friends and their significant others is, you know, innocent until proven guilty, which isn't always the best, but I think that it's really easy as friends to come in with a heavy hammer and be like, these are all the things that I don't like about this person, and here's why you shouldn't be dating them. And that can sometimes be really detrimental. And if I have major concerns, I'll always bring them to the table. But when I met Josue, I saw very specifically certain ways that the Lord had answered prayers for Paige. Was he different maybe than I had envisioned? Yeah. Like, I feel like we all as friends have different pictures of what our friends will end up with in a partner. But at the same time, it's not my life. And I was so excited that the Lord had answered so many prayers for Paige. And so getting to come alongside of her in that was so exciting for me.
Yeah.
And I think that so many people can focus on their own dissatisfaction with where they're at and then project and then tear down something that the Lord has provided for someone else. And I didn't want to do that for Paige. I wanted to be someone that saw how the Lord had answered a prayer and celebrate that and come in agreement with it. And, you know, if she had come to me and been like, there's this going on or there's this going on, I would have met it with empathy and honesty.
Yeah.
But, you know, I really felt, you know, this is something that the Lord has clearly brought into your life and I want to support it. And also simultaneously, I was dating someone at the time as well when they started dating. And he was really close friends with us as well. And so that also helped too, because we both were kind of walking through similar things again. And I think that that's a reason that Paige and I have really remained close friends, is I feel like we've walked through really similar things at similar times. And we just have really understood each other or sought to understand each other when we're walking through those things, which I think has been a really healthy thing that has given us a lot of longevity.
Yeah.
Because if we don't understand, we seek to understand. And that was something that I always tried to do with Josue and with Paige, is like, if this is who you want to marry, he's an amazing guy and I'm going to support it. And I have no major concerns. So, whereas if there had been, you know, I would have brought those to the table. But I think it's easier to champion people when you don't project your own frustrations about your personal life onto them. And I think that a lot of people can do that.
Yeah. No, it's so good. I think to kind of wrap us up, I want to take us in one little topic that I think is important, just even diving into transition even further, of sometimes there's expectations that the world, the church, ourselves, other people put on you of where you need to be at a certain time in your life or what things should be accomplished, you know, like if I'm in my 30s and I don't own a house, like, am I a failure? If I don't have a kid yet, am I doing the wrong thing? If I'm not married, if I'm not living on my own, but I'm living with my parents, or I'm getting married at this age instead of that, you know, fill in the blank. How have you guys dealt with and kind of share, you know, where maybe you sit in that bracket of examples of maybe being somewhere that even you thought you wouldn't be or other people thought you should be, and not getting stuck in comparison in that either, of I thought I'd have this career or I thought my life would look like this, you know, fill in the blank. What has that been for you and how have you navigated through that and found it as, no, this is exactly where God wants me to be?
I can go.
It's so
You're gonna have to cut out so much from this. Oh my gosh. Yeah,
so good.
You caught me at a very honest time in my day, I guess.
Welcome.
So
honest chats with Izzy here.
I have so much that I could do a whole podcast about this topic. But
should we have Izzy back again? You guys let us know.
Just breathed so heavily into this microphone. Anyways, I am currently living at home with my parents. I just left a job that I was at for about 3 years. And like I said, I am unmarried. I'm single and not dating anyone. And, you know, I'm 25. And I actually am so excited about where I'm at, weirdly. I think all of us have these expectations when we're younger of, you know, I want to have this by this time or do this thing. And something that the Lord has really shaken up for me over the past few years are my own expectations and laying those at his feet. And the biggest piece of surrender, honestly, for me was back when I decided to work at Sambika, which is a Christian camp here in the Seattle area. That was around that time where Paige and I were navigating a lot of different things kind of side by side. And I really just had this open and honest, vulnerable conversation with God where I was like, Lord, where do you want to send me? And he was telling me to kind of go into prayer for the next week or so and wake up at a certain time in the morning and just go pray. And he told me to go to Sambika. And I remember being really scared. I sent an email to the director of the organization. I said, hey, the Lord put this onto my heart. I feel like he's calling me to Sambika. and I see you have full-time positions open. I would love to, have more conversations about this. And as we started having those conversations, I knew that it was going to be a huge, huge change for me. At Sambika, I lived with a lot of other young adults in almost kind of a college experience format. We all lived in kind of these tiny homes together. And also, we were not paid very much. It was camp ministry. And I remember, looking at kind of crunching the numbers, and I sat down with the Lord and I was like, God, this is what I would need to make in order to live for the next couple of years. If this is where you want me, can you provide this number? And then that was the exact number that I got when they handed me my offer letter. And was it a lot of money? No, but it was proof that the Lord listens to my prayers. And so time and time again, over the past couple of years, the Lord has shown me the power of a surrendered yes to go where he goes and valuing that above those different expectations of where I'm supposed to be. A big verse for me over the past couple of years has been from Psalm 37. It says, the Lord directs the steps of the godly, though they will stumble, they will never fall. And I think that it's so easy for us to try and put on our best brave face and a blazer and say, hey, I'm an adult and I want to reach these goals, and being driven isn't bad. But I think that I've been put in positions where I've really had to lay my own expectations and plan and timeline at the foot of the cross and say, God, I would rather be obedient with this than pick the thing that my flesh wants, because I know what you're speaking to me. And so what has led me to living with my parents, what's led me to leaving Sambika over the past couple of years, and all of these different changes to where I am now, has been me really making choices with each of those different parts of my life and saying, I want what the Lord wants for me. Here I am, God, send me. And I would rather stand at the gates of eternity and know that I obeyed the voice of God and that I pursued the things that he put upon my heart than just choose the next best thing for my life. And that has been a really freeing thing for me, that has let me walk boldly in where the Lord has me versus playing this comparison game of, man, I wish I was married, or man. And it doesn't mean that I don't have those thoughts here and there, but our end goal is to, follow Jesus for the rest of our days, to lead people to come to know him. At least that's my goal. And I would rather trust him fully with all of those different parts of my life than try and scramble a game plan because I'm afraid of looking or being perceived a certain way by the people on my right or my left. And so that has really freed me from those expectations that I've had over the course of my life.
It's really good.
Yeah, I think that listening to the voice of God is just like the most important thing you can do in the decisions that you make and the things that you decide to do. And I think that comparison is like such a thief and will just twist your mind into thinking things that aren't true. And like, you are always going to be in a place of life where someone else wishes that they were. And so if that's true, then why not accept where I am and live it every day?
That's good.
And I even think about when I was single, I wanted to be dating somebody. And then when you're dating, you want to get engaged. And when you're engaged, you want to get married. Instead, I really took all those seasons, definitely with Josue, like before we met, I feel like I was super intentional about being single. And then when we were dating, I was like, I want to be so intentional with this season. And he really helped me in like grounding myself in that. Like, we get to date each other, we get to know each other. And then even in our engaged season, like, how is that different? How does your relationship evolve? And then into marriage now. It's like living that every day. And new seasons will come. But I just want to be content where the Lord has me right now. And comparing myself to where someone else is just going to steal my joy. And like, I'm not about that.
So good. Man, this has been really a fun podcast. I think I like having two people on the podcast. The girls so chatting away. No, but there's just so much that I think people will be able to chew on and listen to. I mean, talking about friendships, transitions. I mean, it's just, I joke about it being like, this is your 20s, but it really is like the rest of your life. I thought turning 30, I was like, oh, it's going to be so solidified. And yet there's still changes because that's just life. And that's the Lord's promised us, you know, like I interchange sometimes change for trials. Like you're going to face trials, you're going to face change, but like the Lord's with you in it every step of the way. And I think the quicker you recognize, like, even just today, like I was just thinking, I was like, man, the Lord really has always been there. And you always hear that. But like when you really get that in your heart of like, when I go back to like the hardest things that I've faced or the questions that I've had or being a younger, you know, girl, like in worship, like the Lord was like, he knows.
Yeah.
And so I think, again, I think Paige, you said this, like we try to put sometimes someone to meet all of our needs and they can't, but the Lord truly can. And it's discovering more of who am I, you know, and you will continue to discover that even after being out of moments of singleness. Like even when you're married, it's like, okay, not putting everything I have in my spouse, still like investing into that, but still making time for each other to go deeper in who am I in the Lord, who am I as an individual. And so I just want to say thank you guys for being vulnerable, for being honest. Y'all's friendship is so sweet. I literally was so excited when I don't even remember. I think Izzy was telling me about the idea of Paige, you moving out here when you and Josue got together. If you guys were going to be here, you're going to be Seattle. And then I never knew what ended up happening. So I text Izzy and I'm like, is Paige here? Like, what happened? She's like, yeah, Paige is there. I was like, what the heck? And so I text Paige and now it's been the best time ever. I'm like, this is a friendship I'm getting to learn. And it makes me feel even closer to Izzy, which is fun too. So it's just the best. I love how friendships come together. But thank you guys for being on the podcast. And girls that are listening, make sure to watch together, discuss it further, share it with someone in your world that you think would really impact, and just take time to really listen to the words of this. There's so much wisdom, so much encouragement. But we love you all, and we can't wait to chat again with you soon.